A long-suppressed dream is finally stirring awake on Brass Island in the south part of Nigeria, Bayelsa State. The much-delayed Brass Fertilizer and Petrochemical project, a bold $3.5 billion venture, is now surging forward. With a landmark gas sale and purchase agreement already signed by industry giants SPDC, NNPC, Total Energies and Eni, the path has been cleared for the Brass Fertilizer and Petrochemical Company Limited and its partners to cross the critical threshold of financial closure and set construction wheels on motion. Set to begin construction by October 2025, this initiative promises to elevate Bayelsa and much of South Nigeria from protracted stagnation into a new era of economic vitality. Once conceptualized in 2009 and revived under the shifting political climate, the project now stands at the cusp of the transformation thanks to the renewed hope, leadership and urgency. At the heart of this project lies a staggering commitment: 270 million standard cubic feet of gas every day, channeled to fuel an expensive methanol and fertilizer production hub, the largest domestic gas offtake Nigeria has ever seen. This will translate into global scale output, export revenue soaring beyond $1.5 billion annually, a 30% reduction in fertilizer import, approximately $200 million in foreign exchange saving, and a yearly boost of $600 million to the nation's GDP. The socio-economic ripple effects are poised to be profound, with more than 5,000 direct and 35,000 indirect jobs anticipated. The lifeblood of the Niger Delta not only gains financial prominence but human opportunity. The message that gas flaring is no longer an option but an untapped reservoir of value has found its clarion call in Brass. The blueprint of the project marries scale with precision. Situated on a sprawling 667.5 hectare site at the eastern edge of Brass Island, just by the St. Nicholas River, the facility is expected to host twin 5,000 ton per day methanol production trains, a gas processing plant, pipelines, export terminals and condensate extraction systems, all wrapped into a single integrated complex. The importance of this mega project goes beyond numbers and infrastructure. It is about fairness, inclusion and constitutional integrity. Governors and community leaders in Bayelsa State, once sidelined during the Petroleum Industry Act deliberations, are now demanding an equity seat at the table. At a recent courtesy call, Governor Diri of Bayelsa State underscored the unjust absence of host states in decisions affecting their land, urging that Bayelsa's rightful place as a partner, not mere spectator, be recognized. As October deadline edges closer, anticipation runs deep across South Nigeria. For decades, oil-producing regions have seen little more than pipelines, environmental burdens and fleeting revenues. Now, with the advent of the Brass Complex, there is real potential for dignity, jobs, infrastructure and regional resurgence. To further explain this, in another 1 month, the $3.5 billion Brass Fertilizer and Petrochemical Company project will commence. This has brought excitement to the people and government of Bayelsa State, even though the project has been long overdue. The project, which is worth about $3.5 billion, will expectedly boost Bayelsa State's economy and will have a great impact on the economy of Brass local government. But as the state and the people await the commencement of the project, the Bayelsa State government is asking for equity stake in the project. However, the Brass Fertilizer and Petrochemical Company Limited is a special purpose vehicle set up to monetize Nigeria's gas resources through the development and construction of 5,000 tons per day of methanol plants in a free trade zone in Bayelsa State. The project, whose final investment decision was announced, could be the first successful methanol plant in Nigeria after previous plans by other investors failed to materialize. Before the conceptualization of this project, contracts for the construction of the project were awarded to world-class entities like Tianchen Engineering Corporation and Tata Consulting Engineers Limited. This mega project has a funding structure of 70% debt and 30% equity and is expected to be operational by 2027. Project sponsors comprises government and private entities including the NNPC, NCDMB and DSV Engineering, which will contribute 30% of the equity, according to a project document. The project currently has an equity commitment of $670 million from DSV, NNPC and NCDMB and intends to attract equity balance of $300 to $380 million from other strategic investors. The rest of the equity will be financed by debt expected to come primarily from consortiums of Chinese banks led by China Exim Bank and other possible lenders including AFDB, European ECAs and international commercial banks. According to the project developers, there will be 2 trains producing 5,000 tons per day of methanol. It will also include a 500 million standard cubic feet of gas per day processing plant to extract condensate from natural gas before feeding the balanced lean gas to the methanol plant. It will also include gas manifolds and pipelines to connect the gas processing plant to gas fields and export facilities. According to the organizers, the methanol project is of strategic importance to Nigeria on account of its stability to support human economic development through skill acquisitions, employment opportunities, which is expected to create about 30,000 jobs during construction and about 5,000 to 6,000 during operations, and reduce overall carbon emission to the environment. The project is consistent with the aspiration of the federal government of Nigeria for industrialization through exploitation of the nation's huge gas reserves to generate even more revenue from gas monetization beyond crude oil for the sustainable economic growth of the country. Investors' confidence in the success of the project will no doubt be boosted by the conclusion of the offtake agreement by international buyers. Supply agreements, EPCC contracts have been signed, and China Exim Bank is serving as a mandated lead arranger who will determine the terms and conditions of the syndicated loan for the project. Nigeria has one of the largest proven natural gas reserves in the world, with approximately 200 trillion cubic feet. Despite having the largest reserves in Africa, only about 25% of those reserves are currently being developed. This has led to successive government efforts to deepen gas exploitation. In 2011, Indorama Corporation, the core investors in Element Petrochemical Company Limited, announced a plan to build world-class fertilizer and methanol plants in its Port Harcourt complex. The investment was worth about $1.8 billion and was supposed to commence production in the next 3 or 4 years. The project until today is yet to materialize. In 2012, the Gulf of Guinea Oil Exploration Limited tried to monetize natural gas in Nigeria through its purposely established subsidiary, Gulf of Guinea Methanol Limited, to develop a world-scale methanol plant in the Niger Delta. The company wanted to invest about $1.1 billion to build the first methanol plant of that scale in Africa, with a capacity of 5,000 tons per day out of local natural gas. It planned to produce high-quality methanol to provide feedstock to local petrochemical industries. The expectation was to use the supply of this methanol to produce solvent from acetic acid and other valuable products. The project until today has not seen the light of the day. Meanwhile, the federal government of Nigeria under the current president has shown rare political will by reviving the project, first conceived in 2009. The Minister of State for Petroleum has been the driver of negotiations ensuring that the gas supply bottlenecks which delayed the project under previous administrations were finally resolved. Nigeria, on the other hand, currently spends heavily importing fertilizers and petrochemicals. Therefore, with the BRAS project, import will fall by an estimated 30%, saving around $200 million annually in foreign exchange. For Bayelsa and the entire Niger Delta region, the BRAS project represents redemption and renewal. A region once defined by oil spills, gas flaring, and violent agitation is now poised to lead Africa in methanol and fertilizer production. It signals a transition from extractive dependence to industrial empowerment. Communities will not only gain jobs and revenue but also see investment in infrastructure, energy, and education. Crucially, it will help rebrand Bayelsa, often perceived as a conflict-ridden oil state, into a gateway of industrial opportunities. For South Nigeria, this is more than a project. It is a test case for whether inclusive, technology-driven, and export-oriented industrialization can finally unlock the region's long-suppressed potentials. Drop your honest comment and tell us what you think about this project. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Thank you.